9:30 at the mighty 920 KDHL, temperature reading 39 degrees. Good morning and welcome to this edition of AM Minnesota. John Anderson in for Gordy Kosfeld, who a little while from now will be on his way to Italy. And we have Ryan Heinritz from the Paradise Center for the Arts with us this morning for the last time, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, the last time. Good morning.
At least as the director of the Paradise Center for the Arts. I mean, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Hey, I'd love to. I love coming in. Thank you very much for having me in and AM Minnesota. And of course we have to give a shout out to Gordy, and AM Minnesota and all my friends at KDHL and Town Square Media. I mean, this has been just an absolute blast. I've been here for 5 years, and AM Minnesota has been a great program to help promote our shows, and they've done it, out of their kindness of their heart and support of the arts. So thank you guys for having us in, and especially me on my last day.
So we're going to get into the meat of a lot of things that have happened in the past and things that are coming up in the future. We'll do that after the break, but talk a little bit about what are you going to basically be doing for the Ordway now?
Yeah, so interesting story. So I started my career in arts administration right out of college in 2001 as a public relations intern at the Ordway. And then in not too much, 3 months after that, they hired me as a marketing assistant, and then a little bit after that moved into a marketing and communications coordinator role. Loved my job, loved the Ordway, wish I could have stayed, but I found that media sales was actually my forte. I was actually going to work for radio sales for a radio company, but then found myself in the print world with Huckle Publishing.
Okay.
So I worked for them 2003 to about 2006. Moved into sales and marketing management with the Service Master by IAT, Service Master Clean franchise here for the county. And then, the Paradise thing kind of opened up, and we'll talk a little bit about that after break. But so the Ordway's gone through some transitioning, and especially in their advancement department. It's a pretty new department. The advancement department's always been their development department, but there's Diane Nix is our new vice president of advancement. She's been there about 9 months or so, and kind of revamped the department a little bit. And what the Ordway has not had a lot programmatically in with the development is corporate relations, corporate dollars, sponsorships. They have very big partners, of course, that have been supporting them in the past, but they really want to grow that whole program. So that's exactly what they did, is they created a job called Corporate Relations and Sponsorship Manager.
Wow, they never create short titles.
Yeah, do they? No. I mean, I've been in a couple of meetings, and they're like, so this is our new sponsorship guy, corporate sponsorship guy. So it's been kind of fun. But so I officially start next Wednesday. I was going to start on Monday, but then I realized it was the Twins home opener, of course, and I couldn't start on a Monday when I'm going to be at Target Field.
Yeah.
So I start next Wednesday. I've been in a few meetings. I have a few meetings this week, and it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to working with the team up there and really taking a look at how to grow the corporate relations and the sponsorships up there, because that's really kind of been my wheelhouse for the last couple of years. I mean, I have the KDHL Power 96 Town Square Media Gallery season here at the Paradise, and the KGP Company's music season, and it's so really the kind of taking those skill sets that I've been working with down here, but then taking them up to the Twin Cities.
On a much bigger scale.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger, but it's the exact same thing. It all comes back down to relationships. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And, what I've been very thankful to do for the last 5 years down here is build strong relationships, with businesses and with individuals. And really when you come into supporting the arts, that's what it comes down to, is really finding out what people are looking to invest their money in, and that's exactly, we'll talk about hopefully some of the successes we've had over the last 5 years with that here in Faribault and moving forward. But yeah, very excited. I always say, like, when I'm on the corner of 5th and St. Peter downtown, I just kind of feel home,
Sure.
Which is weird to say coming from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I truly feel home in St. Paul, and I'm glad to be going back. I'm going to definitely miss a lot of things from the Paradise and my time here and friends and family, but I'm going to be sticking around. I'll still live in Northfield with my 2 boys, and coming down for the Crossroads family season down here and stuff. The boys like to see the jugglers and magicians, and so we're really looking forward to that.
A little farther commute to work this time, though.
Yeah, I was driving to work today, and I was just like, well, but it's really, when I live in Northfield and drive, up 52 to St. Paul, it's really only 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I joke that it takes longer to get across the Robert Street Bridge than it does to get to St. Paul sometimes, but it's going to be good. January, February, I'll probably not like my commute.
Probably not, no.
But it's definitely worth moving in that direction, and career-wise too, it's a really good opportunity for me, and I couldn't pass it up.
Okay, we'll have more from Ryan coming up after we take the market break. KDHL, the Mighty 920. It's AM Minnesota for this Monday morning. John Anderson along with Ryan Heinritz, the outgoing executive director of the Paradise Center for the Arts. And we were talking a little bit about you moving on to the Ordway before the break and some of the things you're going to be doing there. So you'll be doing a lot of the same things basically, and just it's going to be a little different environment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really interesting opportunities. You know, the Ordway is a producer and a presenter, as we were talking just off the air here. And, you know, like one of the shows that the Ordway has coming up is Damn Yankees. Yeah, actually one of my favorite.
That's a cool show.
Yeah, favorite musicals. I saw it back when Jerry Lewis was in it. And so a corporate relationship opportunity has worked out with the Minnesota Twins, actually, where the Twins are sponsoring the show. So there's a lot of relations that go back and forth where we can advertise at Target Field during games, and we can help the Twins promote their games during Damn Yankees and have vendors in the aisles. And so, yeah, so it's going to be a really great opportunity there. And that's kind of the relationships that I'm going to be building for most of the shows that we produce, of course, present as well. You know, Sound of Music coming up, you know, around Christmas time, you know, directed, you know, with the Ordway and the producing staff up there. So I'm going to be the person to go out, and ultimately all of these shows costs money, you know. So covering those expenses through sponsorships and corporate relations and corporate partnerships is going to be what I'm going to be primarily doing.
Because otherwise people would have to pay astronomical ticket fees.
Well, you know, and that's the end of the day. You know, you think about how we did the exact same thing with the Paradise. You know, I mean, so the thing is, we really want to try to keep that ticket, you know, in that $17 to $22 range. You know, our members are paying $17, our non-members are paying $22, average price $19.50. So we're really trying to keep that average ticket price below $20. In order to do that, we need corporate sponsorships, and you know, and we've really had an opportunity these last couple of years. I mean, KGP Logistics, KGP companies, you know, Kathy and Trevor and everybody over there, thank you very much for their support. When we started the 2011 series, the music series, you know, I went out and met with Kathy and Trevor and sat down and said, we can present, actually produce, I think, 2 shows and present 6 shows. You know, it's going to cost about $12,000 to $14,000 when all said and done at the end of the year. Where can you come in at what level and help us support this so that we can keep the ticket prices at an average price of, you know, $15 to $19? And so they have been supporting this since 2011. Last year in 2014, we kicked off our inaugural family series at the Paradise. You know, we brought in, you know, Kenny Ahern was our very first physical comedian, you know, so from physical comedians to jugglers and magicians and you know, Grammy Award winning and Grammy nominated music. I mean, it's been a really great opportunity, but that's a $10,000 season, you know, to pay these performers, you know, and thankfully, you know, we have the Crossroads group with Southern Heights Dental, Ritchie Eye Clinic, Crossroads Skincare, you know, they're really supportive of that program. So, you know, what I've been trying to do over these last 5 years is talk with our business community and regional community as well, in saying that this is a great way for you to not only support, you know, the arts, but also to market and advertise. You know, I mean, I'm obviously on the radio right now, and I've just mentioned all of these wonderful businesses that are supporting us. You know, so that's part of the package. You know, obviously we give them ticket packages and you know, beverage, you know, packages as well. Marketing when we put our ads on the radio and in the paper and posters.
And we give tickets away on occasion.
Yeah, you know, you guys have been great for that. I mean, so there's every time you do that, you talk about the sponsor. You know, so to all of our business listening right now, if you can continue to support the Paradise, there's a lot of show opportunities to sponsor, season opportunities for 2016 and 17. I just worked out all the dates before I left, where everything's kind of in place. I don't know what shows are coming. That'll be for the next, you know, director and team to program the season, but the dates are set. So yeah, so that's exactly kind of what I've been doing here, but now tying it into kind of a little bit larger scale.
And we'll come back to the future in just a moment. Let's back up to 5 years ago. You had a big task at hand. I mean, it was kind of a nightmare, I imagine, at first, wasn't it?
You know, it's funny. I've kind of done, I think I've had more exit interviews at the media than I have with my own organization. Actually, it's kind of been fun. I was just interviewed for another publication, and same question came up, you know, take us back to day one, which is part of my annual meeting speech tonight. I should mention again, the Paradise Center for the Arts annual meeting is at 7 o'clock tonight for all of our members and or non-members. Please come down to 321 Central and hear what we have to say about 2014 and 15. But February 1st, 2010, I remember walking in. It was literally dark in the lobby because it's a Monday and we're closed on Mondays. And I had a board meeting on Tuesday the next day, and I just kind of sat there and thought, well, what would I do if I was a board member? I'd want to know the profit and loss statements and the budgets, and so I talked to the bookkeeper that afternoon and kind of pulled that all together. And but I was looking at the checkbook.
And unfortunately, at that time, it was a little more red ink than anything, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2009, the Paradise finished at $89,000 in the red, so that was kind of disheartening to walk into. The checkbook only had $4,000 in it. We had $775,000 in debt between our $625,000 mortgage and our $150,000 exhausted line of credit. Payroll was due in a week pretty much. I think it was like February 16th was the first payroll I had to pay, which brought us pretty much down to $1,000 in the checkbook. And payroll was due 2 weeks later. So it was, I knew what I was getting into when I took the job.
Right.
But I took it for that challenge opportunity, and also because I firmly believe that the Paradise Center for the Arts will be a strong, sustainable business right in the community here in downtown Faribault and for the region. And thankfully, over the last 5 years, we have had that opportunity. We have had the opportunity to slowly get back, slowly grow to where we are today. So the first couple of months were tough. I said one time in an interview one time, I'm not gonna lie, I did get lucky on a couple. There were these, I like to call them angels, that just showed up with a $7,000 check or a $10,000 gift, and those first few months in that first couple of years. But at the end of the day, a lot of hard work came from Beverly, my bookkeeper, who's just an outstanding individual, been with us since 2009. Really just taking an eye on the finances. We weren't spending money we didn't have, and we cut the expenses we could. I remember one of my first, probably about third board meeting, talked about changing the operational hours. We're open from 10 to 5 back in 2010, Tuesday through Saturday. I sat at the box office half the time, and 7 people a week would come through the front doors. 5 of those were board members. 2 of those people were buying tickets. So really, we need to be more accessible and more
Right.
open, and so we talked a little bit about that. And I remember my first board meeting when the first time I sent a proposal to the board and got voted down. Because I wanted to change the operation hours to 4 to 8 in the evening. We have rehearsal going on, we have classes going on, so we should be open in the evening and not open during the day. The business office could be open during the day, but the physical center, but it got voted down. But it got voted down on a 7 to 5 split. So then it was fun to see the 5 board members and the 7 board members start talking about, well, why do So that was really fun to start this whole process of changing from like the working board to the governance type board model. And so those first few months were definitely the joke back then was that it's going to be cold in here because we can't afford the electricity, and it's going to, or the heat and electricity and the Excel bill, and wear a sweater to work. And, but it's worked out. We've never missed a payroll. We got back on track paying the mortgage on time in March of 2011. So that was really good. And I've always said, we've got to raise payroll every 2 weeks unless it goes to the community. The community, and I said this in a farewell speech the other day, it's your art center. It's up to you to support it.
You've got operational expenses that you can't change. Those are going to happen every month,
regardless.
No matter what's going on.
Right.
And you got to do it.
Yeah, and the programmatic, expenses, we are getting, some support from our businesses and our ticket buyers, of course. But at the end of the day, membership revenue and donations, grants, if you can get them, cover your operational expenses. So we need the support of the 1,000 member campaign. We've talked about it 100 times. We're at 568, I think, members right now, and we were at 168 when I started. And so that's been a really big push. We've kind of gotten north of 600 a few times, and then retention's gone down just a little bit, and up a little bit. And in 2014, I think I've got my membership and dues revenue. So we did $35,000 in 2014 in revenue this last year. Grants were $17,000. our contributions and our gifts. Now, our contributions and gifts, this is our donations, are $167,000. But that is a very high number for us because we're still in the middle of a capital campaign year.
Right.
You know, so we are actually receiving quite a bit of money on principal reduction. We talked about our $775,000 in debt when I started. September of 2014, I paid that last check on the $150,000 line of credit. So in the last, yeah, thank you. In the last 5 years, we finally paid off the entire line of credit. And also, our mortgage is now about $525,000, so $100,000 principal reduction. So you combine the two, you know, it's about a 33.5% reduction in debt over the last 5 years, while maintaining the build programming, education classes, and operating at a $400,000 budget. So slowly but surely, but again, that's still $525,000
Right.
in debt to go. So again, we still ask for your support. Your donations are very much needed, not only to the capital campaign debt retirement, but people always give to the capital campaign in a capital campaign year, but they forget that we still have to pay the utilities. So you kind of have to do two gifts right now.
We're talking with Ryan Heinritz from the Paradise Center for the Arts. He's the outgoing executive director, and on his last day and doing his last day in Minnesota with us this morning, what are some of your favorite memories?
Oh, favorite memories. There's a lot of favorite memories. The ones that come to mind right off the bat, you know, are the creation of the Children's Theater Field Trip program with the Ball Family Foundation. I went to a conference in 2011, met a company called Theater 4 out of Richmond, Virginia, and they go on the road with their 45-minute children's plays. And so we were able to work with the school district and bring in Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln's 2nd through 5th graders starting in the fall of 2012. So we've done the 12-13, 13-14, now 14. So it's our third season with this program. We do two shows. We have 278 seats, so that's 556 kids times 3, you know, productions through the year. So 1,600 children in a school year are able to see these shows. And what's fun now is the 2nd graders, you know, that were during the first performance, you know, back in 2012, you know, so the 2nd graders saw their 2nd grade show, their 3rd grade show, their 4th grade show, and so next season will be their 5th grade show. So
that's cool.
For 4 years in a row, they've been able to. So that's kind of been fun. And I'm the high five guy. You know, they call me the high five guy. So all the kids are leaving, they're high fiving me on the way out the door, and so that's been fun. You know, donation wise, there's 101 donation stories that are really close to my heart. One specifically is I was meeting with a good friend of mine and asked me how things were going. This is kind of early on, and back in 2010, and I said, well, you know, I've got to pay the rights for Cinderella, you know, which is the show we're doing next year, but you have to pay for the rights in advance, and it's just not going to work, and we don't have the money. And you know, he's like, well, what do you need? And I said, well, you know, it's like $3,800. You know, and how do you pay that bill when your revenue doesn't come in for another 9 months or so? And so we were just chatting about that, and you know, the struggles about how it's going to work, and you know, how to get sponsors, and how to, you know, and we were able to do that a little bit. But the next day, this woman comes into my lobby and asks for me, and they call me upstairs from my office, and she says, I hear you need a little help. And she hands me an envelope and says, don't tell my husband. And she walks out. And I open up the envelope, and it's a check for $3,800.
Wow.
I mean, most of the people that are listening don't know me all that well, but I'm kind of an emotional person. I just stood in the lobby crying. Like, I mean, I didn't know what to do. Luckily, her name was on the check, so I hunted her down and thanked her, and I told her I would pay her back, and she said, that's not why we're here, you know. But she said, you do what you need to do, you know. And so we did Cinderella, and it was a huge success, you know. One of our first corporate sponsors with Reliance Bank, actually, who's continued to support our big musicals, and they're supporting our musical this Christmas. Yeah, we had a really great show, and I called her up and took her for coffee, and you know, tried to give her the check back, and she wouldn't take it. So really great story. Again, I mean, those kind of got lucky stories, but because I knew someone who knew someone, you know, they were interested in supporting us. And but yeah, there's been a few. The Deuces Wild $104,000 night, you know, that was a lot of fun. You know, we really went after the capital campaign with that, and we brought in Dave and Ted and said, you know, I had a donor who gave me the money to pay Dave and Ted because they are a little bit out of our budget for a show like that. And I said, I can triple your money in 30 minutes if you help me out here. And the donor's like, I'd like to see you try. You know, and so we took their investment and obviously not only tripled it, but
right.
You know, we went to 104,000 that night. But to see the energy in the room where I went on stage and literally said, so we're here to raise money. I know it's debt retirement. It's not sexy. We're not building a new locker room or facility, or we're building a new arts center. I mean, it's debt retirement, you know. But if we don't do this, we don't operate. You don't have an arts center. There's a huge hole in downtown Faribault.
Right.
So what do we do? And I said, so who's going to make that first donation? Silence on the air. I can't do that because, you know, obviously people are like, do we just go dead air? But that's exactly how it felt. It felt like dead air on the radio.
You like crickets.
Crickets in the room. And so, of course, I said, well, I guess I'll kick things off with our board president. And, you know, Mr. Hoffman made a, you know, donation. And I saw Mr. Erickson from Erickson's Furniture the other day. And I brought his pledge card out. And I said I would make my own personal donation as well. Put your money where your mouth is. And then so by that point I said, I think there's a $30,000 match, you know, in the audience tonight. So let's get 30,000 and we'll get that 30. And so in like, you know, 5 minutes we had $60,000, which is really great. And by the end of the night it was great. You know, Dave and Ted were they had a lot of fun. You know, they've been selling out shows for us for the last 3 years, and but they know how to fundraise, you know. We've actually, you know, worked together, the three of us now, on a fundraising gala package where you can actually hire Ryan Heinritz and Deuces Wild, and we can replicate that model. It's a little side business I have. So if you're interested in fundraising,
there you go.
You know, I can help you raise $104,000 in one night, hopefully.
We've got just about 6 minutes remaining. I want to touch in a little bit. I want to touch about the rest of the season and you know what the future holds for the Paradise. But it's got to be tough when you're booking things. It's like you want things that are going to fill the seats. I know it doesn't always work out that way, but it's got to be tough to pick, okay, how's this going to work for this area? And
yeah, programmatically looking at the seasons are very interesting. We attend the Arts Midwest Conference every September, and the Minnesota Presenters Network Conference in the summer in June, which are some really good opportunities to see new talent and kind of quote-unquote go shopping and buy shows. But thankfully, the way the Paradise has been working over the last 5 years is we have run by committee. So our gallery committee, our music committee, our theater committee. So our committees are really helping streamline kind of what we're looking for. You know, the theater committee picks the shows, makes recommendations, does the budgets, brings it to me, you know, and then we kind of put the season together. You know, the music committee, same thing. You know, they go out, they see shows, they bring back shows to the committee, we talk about what we want to see. You know, musically in Faribault, we have noticed that you can put a Johnny Cash show up on stage, it'll sell out every time. You can put a Patsy Cline show up on stage, it'll sell out every time. So country, tribute shows, those two things work really well together here in the market. We just had singer-songwriter Allison Scott, you know, which is a really great Twin Cities market type of a show. Didn't sell as well down here, you know, but everybody who goes thinks it's the most amazing show we've done. So we try to do a little bit of blend of artistic stuff and tribute stuff to give kind of people what they want to hear and what they want to know. And
some good comedy too. I mean, I know C. Willie Miles is coming up again real
soon.
April
25th, Willie will be back. And really, you know, we did a comedy series, my 2011, kind of my first full season, and it kind of didn't do as well as I thought it would. I think it would be really, really well done if we had a 100-seat room. You know, because it's 278 seats, we get about 120 people. Still didn't kind of feel full, unless Louis Anderson was here, of course, which is another fun memory. But at the end of the day, what we've really kind of done is we focused on theater programming, music programming, family series programming. It's kind of the three. Visual arts programming, of course, with our galleries at Paradise and up to the hospital as well. And then when we have those extra dates, is when we fill in some variety programming, Deuces Wild, C. Willie Miles, a hypnotist, or our annual Wine, Women, and Comedy event in November for Widows Weekend. And so it's really kind of been fun. And then there are a little bit of little things that come up too, like the annual auction for the arts or a recycled art sale. Not to mention the second Saturday in August, of course, the Blue Collar Barbecue and Arts Festival.
Yeah.
You know, 6,000 people. Rumor has it I'm celebrity bartending at the festival this year.
Okay,
so,
that'll be cool.
Yeah, and that's been great. You know, we've had two really great, amazing board members, Saul Lockerbie and Kevin Barachek, really step up to the plate on taking over the festival this year. And it's the same weekend of everybody's like BA's 150th anniversary, and there's the Relay for Life is happening that same weekend, so we're in the hospice ride. So we're really trying to coordinate this whole weekend to stay and play in Faribault, and just coming off the Tourism Commission, of course. You know, that's really my other goal too, is using the arts as a driver for economic development as well as tourism. You know.
No replacement's been named yet. We've got about 2 minutes left. No replacement's been named yet, but you've got a lot of good people in place that are going to carry on.
Yeah, you know, my staff is outstanding. You know, thank you to Julie Fackler, Heather Neal, Palmer Huff, Beverly Haugen, and the board of directors, all of our committees, all of our volunteers, 800 volunteers this last year, 2,800 hours, I think it was 2,700 hours. And at the end of the day, yeah, they are still hiring. We actually have 2 interviews today that I've got to get ready for this afternoon. And I think the Paradise is in really good hands. I've always said, my joke right now is that I'm really glad to be kind of moving on, because now somebody who knows what they're doing is actually going to be able to take over. Again, I'm just a marketing guy with a sales background, but I think over the last 5 years we've done some amazing things, but it's all because of the support of this community. And it's, again, the only way it's going to work is if you support your art center.
I think you've done a fantastic job, and we certainly wish you the best of luck up at the Ordway. And keep in touch, keep us posted to what's going on, and if there's anything else we can ever do for you in the future, we'll be happy to try and do it for you.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And any last parting thoughts? You got about 45 seconds.
Yeah, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I've said it 101 times, become a member. You know, it's $75 for your family, it's $50 as an individual, or $40 if you're a senior over the age of 65. With 1,000 members at $75, $75,000 a year, that is a really great operating base for a $400,000 operating budget. You know, so please become a member, join the Paradise 1,000 member campaign, and also make a tax-deductible contribution. You know, I know there's 101 nonprofits out there. Support them all if you can, at whatever level you can. You know, but if we have the Paradise Center for the Arts in our community, I truly believe it's going to be a strong, vibrant downtown.
All right, congratulations on your new position again, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Ryan Heinritz from the Paradise Center for the Arts, his last day, and again, the annual meeting tonight, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
At the Paradise, so get down there. It is